Hello and welcome to Two Hopes Garage. My name's Jace. Thank you very much for joining us. In this video we spruce up the Mercedes W126 front wheel hubs, giving some new bearings, races, coat of paint, new disc, and we also do a mini review of the Orion Motor Tech bearing race and seal driver kit. So without any further ado, let's launch straight into it. Cheers! And before I forget, a massive thank you to the new subscribers that have joined us. Thank you very much, it's massively appreciated. And also a big thank you to the old ones for staying with us. So anyway, on with the video. Cheers, thank you. So there's the back of my rusty old brake disc and hub. So we're going to split the disc and hub via the 510mm Allen bolts. So we'll use the 1/2 inch impact with a 10mm impact Allen bit. Quick zap. There we go. Number 2. Hey, oh, you gotta love an air tool. Number 5. Beautiful. So, in the absence of my hide face mallet or rubber mallet, just giving the hub a couple of wee taps with a £2 hammer. Not recommended, really. There we go. One rotor and one Mercedes W126 hub. There's the grease seal now. This has been fighting me a wee bit. As you can see, my brand new seal puller tool, not that great. So it's on its way out. What I'm able to do now is just get in against the race. There we go. And pop it out. That definitely wasn't doing that earlier. That kind of fought me all the way. I'd said earlier on in the process that this car was coming apart lovely, but the last few jobs it's really been fighting me. I know a grease seal's not a big deal, but that went harder than it could have. So yeah, next up we'll give it a clean and we'll look at getting our bearings out and races. I've invested in a Facom 16mm punch. I'll put the numbers up here of what the model number. Give it a bit of a harder hit without being scared that we're going to terminate our knuckles. Beautiful. So much easier than the last one. There's a race, that's us out. I got that in shot there. The inside of the race is actually really quite nice. However, like I said before, I'm definitely not for putting new bearings in with the old race. Always change them as a pair. Change them as a pair. Let's see if we can show you what I'm aiming for here. What we're aiming for here, let's try and put this on here, is this little lip just going around there. I'll catch the end of that and we'll knock the outer out. Let's make sure I'm hitting the race and not anything else. 1. On the other side. 2. 1 over here. 3. 5. Yeah, we get definite movement now. There we go. That'll be the other race out. Give it a wee clean and I'll show you. It's made in Japan, this one. So this has been changed at some point. So you can see that race. It's actually really nice. I don't know if the light's catching it, but you get the odd wee line there. But it's good. However, we'll fit a nice new one. What I think I might do first is we'll mask some of this off and give this a wee coat of black paint. Bring it back to as close as I can to the original finish. Grand. So I thought I'd treat myself, as I was going to be doing a few bearing races, maybe not just in the Mercedes but on other vehicles. And I bought myself one of these Orion Motor Tech Bearing Race and Seal Bush driver sets. I'd just like to say I bought it. I'm not sponsored, nobody sponsors me, although I'm open to offers should anyone want. And it comes in a wee handy dandy case. And it actually looks quite a nice bit of kit for the price. I think it was £26 for this. It's all aluminium, so softer than the bearings. So softer than the bearing races. So they hopefully shouldn't mar the surface of the bearing race when they go in. We've got some instructions. Bit of foam to stop stuff rattling about. And various different sizes, going up from 39.5mm to 81mm. All nicely machined. And I'm not sure if, yeah, it's going to pick it up. They've got the size, what looks to be laser etched into the thing. The only criticism I would have, this is hard to get out of there. I've been resorting to using screwdrivers to pry it out, but it's no real biggie. So this is the handle. What we do, got a wee bolt in the handle, take that off, put the item of your choice on there. And screw it on down. You don't need to go too crazy. Then this way around for inserting the bearing race, and that'll just, this bit here, it will just catch on the lip. That should fit in the race and not mar anything up. Then you can just give it a light tap with a hammer or a heavier tap and drive it into place. However, sure you guys know that, so I'm probably telling you stuff you know already. You take this off. Pop it round the other way. Like so. You can use the flat side for grease seals and such like. So we'll give it a try out with the bearing races for the Merc. But at the moment, I'm quite impressed with it. Just in presentation, it looks all to be quite nicely machined. The box is decent. This only criticism that I can level at this so far, and it's very minor indeed, you've even got your nicely laser etched logo on there, is the knurled portion. Some of the knurling has some sharp bits where it's been machined. That's it. That's the only criticism I've got. A little bit of micro mesh or wet and dry paper, give it a little bit of a buff up in that, and all my criticism's gone. There's yeah, it's grand. So we'll give it a shot on the old bearing. So back to our hub. There is the grease that I'm using, Febby 21909, and again, I am not sponsored. If Febby wants to sponsor me, that's grand. So I got this just because it was the right spec. I looked up the correct spec grease for this hub and these bearings. and it looked to be readily available and the correct spec. So that's what I've got. It's quite a fetching shade of Hulk green. Nice fresh tube, obviously. I think it was about 10 or 12 pounds. So not cheap as chips, but not bad. I'm just going to put a wee bit of grease around this just to ease its passage, so to speak. We'll put a wee bit on the outside and we'll put a wee bit on the inside as well. Beveled edge outwards, obviously, or else your bearing ain't getting in there. It just sits on there quite nicely. Hopefully, interesting grease smell. Hopefully it's of a size that it will go in. And now for the first time use of my Orion. So I don't know if you can see that. You not see the top, but that's just sitting nicely within the bearing, and we'll give the top of it a light tap. Make sure it's going in nice and square, which it appears to be. Another wee check, going in nicely. Grease is helping probably. Oh, lovely, there we go. That sounds like that's bottomed out. I've got to say, I'm quite impressed with that tool. That all looks to be nice and even. I'll give it one final tap, just to make sure it's all the way in there. Yeah, there's no, you can hear that, there's no more, yeah, it's there. I've got to say, I'm quite impressed with this wee thing. The tool looks to be grand. It's not marred the race at all. The race looks to be grand. It's sitting nice and even. It was no bother putting that in. And we'll do the other side. Fabulous. So we're over here. We've got a couple of dods of wood just to keep it off the vise, or off the, it's not a vise, just to keep it off of the table saw. And we'll see if we can set it in with the tool. We are now up to 63. We'll pop it in. Making sure, obviously, that your chamfer is facing you. Otherwise, you're going to have all sorts of issues. Let's give it some light tapping. Yeah, on this, it's 63mm on the outer race now. I'm not entirely convinced about the way that's sitting, but going down on that side a bit more. That's nice now. Should be going in just lovely. Beautiful. Just turn it. Yep, on outer bearing race installed. You can hear the change in note once it hits the rock bottom, so to speak. But that looks nice. That's tickety-boo. So ordinarily, at this point, I would be popping the bearing in there and then popping the grease seal on top. However, with this one, I am going to get a wee bit of black paint and we'll get this back to, well, as near factory finish as possible again. But for the moment, we've got two nice new races in there, ready to accept the new bearings once we get this painted up. And once the bearing goes in there, obviously packed with fresh grease, we'll get the grease seal on there. I'll show you that. There's our grease seal. Like I say, once the bearing's in there, we'll just pop that on. And that should fit just nicely in there with the lip round there, and we'll hammer that home. So I just thought I'd share with you the high-tech paint facilities we're using on the wheel hub today. So what we have is a brake caliper hanger hanging from a swinging garden seat. It's the weather is actually quite warm today for the north of Scotland in October, and I thought I'd put a couple of light coats of the gloss black paint. Oh, there we go. It's not going to be show quality finish. However, if it provides some degree of rust protection, that's grand. The other thing I've got, they're quite hard to see just now, you'll see them better when they come out. I've used some foam earplugs just to block the holes to stop too much paint getting in. Obviously the one with the hanger, it's going to need a tap running down there just to clear that out. And I'm going to go with the original Mercedes, the original dust cap, because it seems to fit well. And it's only got a small ding on it. So I think we're going to go for originality there. So that's that. Back to the garage. As we get the paint job done in the hub now, I thought we'd get the bearings put in and get it onto the rotor. It's not quite ready to go on because we're waiting on other stuff, but we can get that assembled up and parked aside until it's ready. So we've got our new inner bearing. Now, what we need to do is get this packed up full of grease. And the old-fashioned way being, smash a bit of grease into your palm of your hand. I am using Febby 21909, which apparently is Mercedes spec. And just load the grease up. Yeah, the idea is, get some light on that. Go around the bearing and force the grease from the palm of your hand in between the rollers. And you should be able to see the grease starting to come up through the rollers there. And attack it from the other side now. So work around the other side. And just force that grease into the rollers. As you can see there, let's get rid of some of this excess. So I've cleaned the race up. We're going to pop some round the race. Our bearing, I'm just going to double check it over. Nicely loaded up full of grease. And we'll just drop that in. Like so. Yeah, now we've got our bearing in there. We'll pop our grease seal on it. There's a grease seal there. I'm just giving it a bit of a grease up to ease its passage into its final location. We'll pop a wee bit on the outside as well. Previously, in previous grease seal fittings, I have done the old piece of wood, give it a smack, and I have to say it's worked well for me. So now that I'm actually filming it, why do the method that has worked well for me in the past? Let's go for something completely experimental, which could be a disaster. We'll try our bearing tool, which I believe, if you flip it round the other way from installing the races, nice flat surface for knocking grease seals in. Let's see if we can get it down nice and evenly. Mind the hands. Yeah, that's getting in okay-ish. It sounds like it's bottomed out. I'll give it another couple of taps just to make sure. Yeah. What I would say about the tool is obviously this metal that the grease seal is made from is harder, if you can see that, there we go, than the aluminium that the tool's made from. However, you don't want to be damaging that. You want to be damaging either the piece of wood or the insertion tool that's putting the seal in. So I'm happy enough with that. So next up, we'll mount our disc onto the hub. Before I do that, what we'll do, we'll give us a wee wipe, like so, and I'm just going to put a wee film of copper grease on there. Try not to get it in the holes, just to prevent that from sticking to the hub, to the disc. Let's see about getting this popped onto the hub. Let's take our nice Febby Bilstein rotor. Is that going to sit on there? Yeah. Beautiful. And the bolts will only go in to the right bolt holes. What we will do, just checking obviously, is get some Loctite on there. So I'm using a wee bit of Loctite 243 medium strength blue stuff. I'll pop a reasonable dod of that on there and pop them in. Now, I found myself the other day thinking, what am I doing here? I sprayed these, cleaned them up, sprayed them up with a wee bit of satin black, obviously not spraying the threads. So you're spraying up bolts that nobody's ever going to see. Are you going mad? This job's taking long enough without that carry on. But you know how it goes, that's what you do. So it is a 10mm Allen bolt. I'm just doing this, there we go, we're spinning already. I'm just doing this by hand today. And here is one of the problems that we're going to have. When I go to torque these things up, it's going to want to spin. So there's going to be a couple of ways of avoiding that. One, I can stick it on the wheel with a couple of bolts through from the wheel, thereby stopping it from rotating, or as I might do, I might just chuck it in the vise. We'll do these in a nice cross-lace pattern. We'll get them torqued up. Nope. There's that one. Smashing. There we go. Let's do final checks. I think we're all good. Smashing. So last but by no means least, before I pop this thing away, let's get our new bearing greased up. We'll just drop it in there, pop the dust cap on, and then that can get parked away until such time as it's ready to go on and it's all ready to rock and roll. So we're going to go old school in the grease here. It's probably a bad idea doing it above the brake disc, but we'll get some brake cleaner on there. So let's get, satisfying or what? Let's get some of our nice Hulk green grease on there, and we'll do it the old school way. I'll just get that grease forced through the rollers and into the bearing, hopefully. And I'll do it from the other side as well. I'll pop the part numbers of the bearings along here somewhere. Some of the excess off and pop it around the other way. It's a messy job, but ultimately pretty satisfying. You can hopefully see that oozing up in between the bearings there. So you know it's not just a smear on the top, it's actually coming through from the other side. I would say we're pretty much G to G. I'll drop that bezeler in, like so. Give it a wee wipe. A wee bit round the side there. Smashing. I clean my hands up because there's grease absolutely everywhere. So I've painted up the old Mercedes rotor. It's got one wee ding in it, but it's a really good fit. I'm just going to pop that on there. And we'll pop that away. So that's this ready to stash away. And when it comes to the point of putting it back on, it's ready to rock and roll. That'll go in a plastic bag that the rotor came in a quiet corner of the garage. Now some of you might be observant and are thinking, where's the radio interference suppressor, Jace? What are you doing with that? Well, I'll keep that in the box there and we'll set it aside. Ready for installation. But essentially, we're good to go. So that's that. The bushes are installed, the hub's refreshed, it's on a nice new Febby rotor. That'll get attached to the car when all the other suspension bits get done. And I nearly forgot the Orion Motor Tech OMT Bearing Race and Seal Bush driver set. Highly recommended bit of kit. I've been hitting the things in with the old bearings or the old races for years, and likewise the grease seals in with a bit of wood. But I'm really quite impressed with that, and it's yeah, that's got a place in the garage. It's a grand wee thing, so aye, recommended on that. I will do the guide rod bushing one down there when that becomes available, and there'll be some other delicious Mercedes video up there until then. So thanks very much for joining us, and I hope to see you again soon. Cheers.